Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and I am getting after my Brugmansia or angel's trumpet tree today. And getting after it, I mean root pruning it. And root pruning is important and pretty much inevitable for any type of pot-grown tree or shrub. They eventually outgrow their accommodations, and that's what's happening with my Brugmansia. I noticed that it was drying out really fast last summer, which tells me that it's root bound. I mean, they're thirsty trees to begin with and hungry, lots of fertilizer, lots of water, but I was watering this sometimes 3-4 times a day. Brugmansia is a drama queen. When she's not happy, she starts drooping, she looks miserable, and the moment she gets what she wants, she perks back up, and very fast, within moments. So I knew last summer that this was gonna happen this year. I'm gonna root prune it, we're gonna cut it back. I could simply just upgrade the pot. I don't want to do that because that means that it's going to be even harder to move around. I mean, this is already heavy as it is, but upgrading the pot means lots more soil, means a bigger tree. I want to keep the tree within a certain size, and by root pruning it, it allows me to do, I can do that. I can control the size of the tree, and that's what I'm going to do today. So, and I'm also going to underplant it with some Proven Winners annuals that came in eco pots, so we'll talk a little bit about that too. It's super cool stuff. So I'm going to get started with it and show you just how easy this is to do, and hopefully it's not too much of a beast to get out of this pot. I think I'm going to really wrestle with it though. I'm hoping I can do it myself, but let's get after it. I did it. It's out. I can't believe how easy it was. It was a piece of cake. So let me get you a little closer, show you what we got. So this is what I was expecting, girdling. So what happens is when a potted tree or shrub runs out of room, or any plant for that matter that's container grown, it eventually runs out of room for the roots. So the roots start girdling or circling the plant. And that's what's going on here. And eventually it just chokes itself out. That's why I was having to water the Brugmansia so much last summer. It was choking out, despite the fact that I had a very large pot. This baby wants to grow. And I should mention too that this is a tropical tree. I overwinter this in my basement and then bring it out every year. It's a very resilient tree, easy to grow in pots, but it does grow fast. You can see here too that it's really conformed to the base, the bottom of the pot. I have a self-watering pot that I have this in. And even that wasn't working. There's lots of roots here. So I am just gonna get in here and cut this back, shave it down, and maybe take about 2 inches off the bottom and then shave the sides too so that I can get my annuals in with it. A really good thing to use is if you have a saw, or I love this tool. This is my Bare Bones Hori Hori knife. I use it for everything. It's got a nice sharp serrated edge. I use it for cutting perennials, digging things out, but it's a really great tool to have and a really great tool to use when you're root pruning anything. So let's just get after it, and don't worry about being delicate. You don't have to be. I'm just gonna cut off about 2 inches from the base and maybe a few inches off of the side so that I've got more room, and the roots will have room to expand into the fresh soil that I'm going to put into this pot. Sorry about this, guys. I thought I hit record when I was actually pruning the sides, but I've taken about, you can see this pile of soil all the way around this. I've taken about 2 inches off the entire perimeter of my root ball here. And look at all of these roots. I mean, it's full of roots, but you don't have to worry about being delicate with this. Trees are very resilient, and they will benefit from this. I mean, it wakes them up. They'll grow great in the new pot. They'll have new soil to grow into. So, yeah, just trim it back. It's gonna look quite a bit smaller, and it's gonna be a lot lighter too. It'll be a lot easier to get into the container. Not that it was that hard to get out of it, but it was pretty big, and it is a difficult thing to move around the garden. So as you can see, it's quite a bit smaller than what we started with here. I'll lift this up. See, quite a bit smaller. So the next step is getting it back into the pot I had it growing in. So as you can see, my root ball is significantly smaller than the container that it was in. It grew to the size of the container basically. So I'm gonna have to pour a good amount of soil at the bottom of this to raise it up, but I don't wanna raise it to have the tree sit too high in the pot because I wanna make sure that I leave several inches so that water can soak in, because if I'm overfilling it, the water will pour over the sides when I go to water. So I wanna make sure there's about maybe 2 inches or so between the top of the soil and the top of the pot, just to retain moisture. A little too high. Now I'm just filling in the sides for stability before I add my annuals to this. I'm going to tuck it in really nice. And I've really tried to position the tree in the center of the pot. I think I did a pretty good job actually. So now I'm just going to firm it in around it, tuck the soil in. So rather than let this be empty around the base, I decided I want to underplant it this year because this is a pretty leggy tree. So I have a combination of annuals that are in what are called Eco Grande pots from Proven Winners. And the cool thing about them is the pot is completely compostable. So you can plant this pot directly in the soil where it will decompose. It's made out of vegetable cellulose gum, and you just pull the tabs off the plant to release so the roots can grow out of the bottom, and you can throw that right into your soil. And there's fertilizer built into the container as well, so you're constantly feeding your plants, which is really nice for the Brugmansia and the annuals because they are heavy feeders because they have one season in which to produce their flowers here. So they need to eat a lot, and the Brugmansia especially likes a lot of moisture. So I have a combination of plants. I've got a Superbell's Tangerine Punch, and then to cover up the legs here a little bit, I have a Black-Eyed Susan Coconut Appeal Vine. Black-Eyed Susan vine, so it's a white flower, black center. And then I have a Lantana. This is Superbina Royale Romance. So I'm just gonna do a combination. Oh, and also I have a new one. This is Queen Tut Papyrus. If I can squeeze it in here somewhere, that would be great too. So the beauty of it is I don't have to throw these in the garbage. These are just gonna go directly into the pot and decompose, and it'll be as though we never had a container. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna start planting and sink these in here however I can, and pull the tabs off the bottoms so that those roots can access the soil below. And the cool thing about these containers, if you have to squeeze them a little bit into their space, you can crack them and still get them into a snug spot. And I like to overplant my containers because I want instant gratification, but you can squeeze these and get them into places. And that's what I had to do with this Lantana here. mission accomplished, and it was so much easier than I was expecting it to be. Keep in mind you can grow any tree in a container. Just remember you're going to have to transplant it or root prune it at some point within about 2 to 3 years because they eventually outgrow it. And root pruning is a great way to maintain the size of your tree and keep it in a manageable pot because you want to make sure that the pots that you're using, you can move them. So I have it growing in a plastic container because of weight issues as well. And this root ball is still quite heavy, despite the fact that so much of the root system in the soil were just removed. So I am gonna water this once I get it in place, but I have to wait till I get some muscle home to help me move this. Everything's finished. It should be gorgeous, and I'll update you as things progress. And the plan with the Lazy Susan vine, or the Black-Eyed Susan vine, I always want to call it Lazy Susan vine, but the plan with the Black-Eyed Susan vine is to train it up the stems here so we get a bunch of white flowers coming up because this is a very leggy tree. And then eventually this will leaf out even more and we'll have those giant kind of peachy colored trumpets on them, and they're super fragrant, and especially at night when the air temperature cools a little bit and then all those evening fragrances are released. So really simple thing to do, and don't be afraid to add some trees to your containers for your patio or wherever you think a tree in a container would work. It's a really nice look. I've had this tree for years and I absolutely love it. And so I'll keep you updated. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe would be great. And if you never want to miss a post, hit that little bell and YouTube will remind you when I've uploaded a new video. So with that, guys, on to the next thing, but I will update you as this progresses, and I'm really looking forward to my highly fragrant trumpet flowers, and anxious to see how this fills in. All right, guys, have a good one.